Great privilege to have Ciara here with us. Ciara, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It is a privilege to be here and also to be published by Sarasavi. It's like the brand of happiness publisher in the country.
It's a win-win situation to have you published with us. And right. So, Ciara, would you like to start with reading one of your favorite authors? Or maybe, or would you like to say something about Lanka Box? Like, because it has gone places.
So I'd actually like to talk about how I started because as an emerging writer, I think it's so important like to find your place in writing because I've been trying to write for a really long time and it took me a long time to find the genre that I was comfortable in. So when I finally understood that my passion is in fiction, then I put together a collection of short stories and I start like Girl Running and Editor submitted to the creation prize in 2020 and it was shortlisted. But then again, I wanted to improve because reading stories that win the Commonwealth Short Story Prize and like the things that we learn in classes, I thought I wanted to improve. So I started sending out stories out to international journals. So there I got to meet a lot of editors who published my stories and it was actually a very, it was very inspiring experience. So that collection, once it got published in some of the journals, that I submitted to creation again in the next year. So that was a good shortlist and that was published as the Lanka Box, which one basis. Right.
Yes, you can start with reading.
So basically what I wanted to talk about in this section is that in this society we come from different backgrounds, but because of some of the prejudices that are there and some of the misconceptions and myths in the society, people, so these misconceptions and prejudices affect basic human relationships. And in a country which has been invaded by the Portuguese, Dutch and the British, whose traces we still have, like the English language English, and again we have a culture which expects certain standards and norms from us. So it's this complexity of being a Sri Lankan is actually what I wanted to talk about. So I want to read a small excerpt from the title story, The Lanka Box, which is about a woman who was one of the first few women to be selected to the Faculty of Engineering in the University of Ceylon at a time where women were not really given place in universities. So but because of certain expectations the society had of her and of the person that she had to marry, because she was of a certain class and so because of that she ends up losing her education, losing her love, and finally she gets into depression, and as an old lady she actually has a lot of regrets in life. So I wanted to write this story because this is personally very important because it actually has traces of somebody who is in my family. I think it's important to tell the stories of women, and some stories just have to be told. So I wanted to write a story. The Lanka Box. It's pouring. The Black Morris Minor is parked in the garden. The nuns have come to drop off a care package from her daughter, and she wants to give them tea. She staggers into the kitchen, lifting her way from the panel door to the Colombo Dutch box, and then to the Victorian chest of drawers with a broken leg. After she finds the keys to the mahogany cabinet, she carefully takes out two vintage teacups, piercing in the cobwebs and washes off 4 decades of dust. Who knew the cups that served the brains behind the independence struggle would one day serve the missionaries? She snickers as she puts the kettle on. Her snicker turns to a cackle as she takes out the tin of tea leaves from the pantry. But startled, she stops. She is confused. There are 2 bottles of white powder in the pantry. Her heartbeat races. Her fingers start trembling. She feels shortness of breath. And the nun comes running to the kitchen. "Where is Sumana, Miss Obesekara?" she asks in an annoyed tone. "Your daughter is paying her to take care of you and your brother." "I sent her home early today. Her daughter has again aged last night." The nun stops asking any more questions. Some things are too unholy to speak about. "Next time you confuse sugar and salt, you taste them and see, alright?" The nun says, staring into her eyes. She nods like a child. A ball of lightning darts like a murderer across the sky. April rain is known to be heartless.
Ciara, tell me, what do you think is the secret of a short story? Why short stories?
I think the short story, it's very difficult to write a short story because every word matters. I think to me, writing a short story is about giving a slice of a bigger story. You say certain bits of it, which is a story itself, but once you read it, you have to understand that this is like a small part of the bigger picture, but then again, it is supposed to change the way you think in some way. Maybe it was a misconception, maybe it was the way you looked at, because so there is this concept of the mystery of the single story, which is put forward by Ciara Mandulee, where she talks about how the society talks about only certain angles of certain stories. Whereas when you say a single story, that becomes the norm. So I think what a short story can do is maybe really a different angle of something that is very familiar to us.
Tell me something about also that where you base yourself, where you find your stories, and the tone is so unique. Sometimes they're very genuine and down to earth. You can't help feeling, and you're not trying to be fancy. Like the voice sounds very authentic, right? How do you how do you excel in that realm?
So I deliberately use Sri Lankan English because when we talk about the concept of world Englishes, Sri Lankan English is the vernacular of English that is our own. So I deliberately use it in my writing because that way I can express myself freely. Like we use borrowings and direct translations from our native languages in Tamil because that is naturally the way we talk. So I use it on purpose because that way I can express the cultural background perfectly and very naturally. So that is something I do on purpose. Talking about basing the stories, I like to write as a woman, the experience of being a woman in a country like Sri Lanka. And also I'm from the Sri Lanka Administrative Service, so I am part of the system, so I get to see a different angle of certain things and bird's eye view of the system. So the different places where I think we can improve and the things that think me, I put them in the stories.
What can you say to an emerging writer, a Sri Lankan girl, say? So you've done it all on your own, right? And you've proudly come out with what you have, and you've shown it to the world, and you've gone places with that identity, which you didn't you didn't want to kind of like, shape yourself to fit in to a certain, like, given box or whatever, criteria. And how would you talk about the journey to become a writer, recognized and awarded?
I think being a writer is a process. Every writer is in this whole process. I don't think there's an end to it. You have to keep on evolving. So from where I started, I think it's important to, you don't really have to come from a literary background. You don't have to study literature. I mean, it helps, but you don't really have to do it. As long as you're familiar with the literatures out there. I think the most important thing is being open to world literature. You have to read all kinds of genres, all kinds of writing, like from every part of the world. I think that opens your mind and gives you insights into different cultures, which actually helps you think in different ways. So I think somebody who is trying to write, you have to continue writing also, because we were talking a little while ago how difficult it is to find time with work. But still, I think if you have commitment, you have to find time, and even it will be a part of the story. As long as you're in it, I think even when you're having a wash, even when you're making a cup of tea, the story is brewing inside you. So I think that is the secret. Keep on writing and keep on reading. Because there's this nice quote, reading is breathing in and writing is breathing out. So I think reading is the most important thing.
A very important thing, I think, because you have to get into the habit of doing it and continuing, and that's how you do, that's how you go on, that's how you come to some substantial work. Would you like to read this?
I would like to read a small excerpt from the first story, which this is actually I deliberately used to like in English. It is titled Of Concepts, Covenants, and the Blood of Christ. This is a 47-year-old man who owns a covenant estate, and he's actually quite wealthy. Decides to get himself a job, and he is street smart, but he doesn't have the paper qualifications. But because he owns this powerful thing called English language, which is linguistic capital in a country like Sri Lanka, he starts off as the speechwriter of the school principal, and he ends up as the speechwriter of the Prime Minister. So I'm really Of Concepts, Covenants, and the Blood of Christ. The day I turned 47, I decided I would get myself a job. I didn't want to be 50 and unemployed. I wanted to start the second half of my life as a bloody professional. Life goes. And that is how it all bloody started. But every time I applied to a job, they asked me two bloody questions. One, what were you doing all this time? And two, what qualifications have you got? Well, walking around the house, reading all the bloody newspapers and collecting fallen coconuts on the estate didn't add much to being a promising candidate. So all I ever got were bloody smiles, either sarcastic smiles or sympathetic lines drawn across their bloody upright faces, glowing with the scintillation of everything they had, which I didn't want to do so. They didn't understand I wasn't there for the bloody money. Money I got from the estate. Not much, but how much money does a bachelor want for a monthly supply of rice, vegetables, beef, and Shiva's Trader extra? And an occasional old rat, because we have to respect the fact that we are bloody island folk. Anyway, when none of these applications worked, I went to my old school for help. I told the rector I could be a bookkeeper or a librarian or a typist. The fellow stared at me expressionless for a couple of minutes, and I knew he was thinking about the donation my parents had made to build the colossal gymnasium some time back, even though it is currently used for a different purpose, to hold mass. He finally nodded. I tell you, his sigh was rather a sigh of relief. I was to be his speechwriter. Not bad, huh? years, I wrote in speeches to be delivered at general assemblies, college days, independence day celebrations. I must have written a million speeches, my God. The fellow is excellent at giving sermons, so I thought my job would be easier. But good heavens, it was not. I've got to tell you, these priests, they don't understand that everyone doesn't want to go to heaven. That some of us are okay with going to hell. Thank you.
Great. So, Ciara, do you think we are going to get a novel next time? You've been busy with short stories and they've done very well. Going to give us a novel next?
I don't think I'm still ready to write a novel, but I've been working on a travelogue. I've got to travel to countries last year, and I really enjoyed writing my experiences there. So I'm hoping to put together a catalogue, hopefully this year. Trying to manage it work and let's see.
It's great. We have some time. We have 5 more minutes. Anything you would like to tell? Maybe an aspiring writer or anyone who would like to take up. So you're in a different profession, like you said. You're in yes, administrative service and so how does it work? Like how do you balance? You told us that writing is about keeping on writing, but then you're doing on control as well.
Yes, so given my current place of work, I come home around 10 o'clock at night, so it's quite difficult to write on weekdays. But I try to keep up with my commitment to writing because I think that is the purpose of my life. So weekends I have dedicated to writing and inspiration because when you are in a different profession, when you do a day job, you need something to inspire you, to keep, even things like this literary events, talking to writers, anything would help. So weekends I have completely dedicated to that, and I try to read in singular a lot because we have to understand the context that time. So I think it's very important that when you are in a post-colonial context, that you have to be familiar with the native languages. I'm ashamed that I can't read Tamil, but I'm learning and I hope to read Tamil as well one day. So that is also something that I'm doing. I think it's all about passion. It's all about commitment to your passion.
Okay. Yes, it's her favorite story. I love it too.
Sample. So this is about, this is actually based on a real life situation. This is about certain misconceptions that people have about the role of the woman, even in 21st century. Whereas when you get married and when you have a husband at home or when you go to an in-law's place, so the sweeping and everything is supposed to be done by the woman. And if the son-in-law is sleeping, my God, that is such a big problem too. So these are actually funny stories on the surface, but when you really deep down, dig into it, you understand that this is discrimination, this is like stereotyping. So that is what I want to discuss in this story. Sample. 1. Is the Jehanputa sweeping the garden? Model bends a little and peeks to a closed upstairs window. Startled, she whistles to the balcony like a bolt of lightning. Yes, it really is her brand new son-in-law sweeping the far end of the garden. Nella, she shouts from upstairs. Where on earth is this girl? Her youngest daughter is not anywhere around, probably staring at her miscellaneous devices. She whispers as she flies down the staircase as fast as she can. Nella, I'm watching a movie, Amma. Nella yells from the TV room. I want make tea. Tell Akka. What tea? I didn't come to ask Nella pretends she does not hear them. Lamano, Jehan Pota is sweeping the garden. Look, Maureen points to the distant image of Jehan sweeping. Yeah, I know. What do you mean, Jana? Maureen keeps her hand on her hips. Knows no shame is there. Why is he not supposed to? Nella, that's your husband sweeping our garden a week after your wedding. Sweeping? What will the neighbors think? He's sweeping our garden, no? I don't think neighbors will mind. Nella says, peeping through the window. All these years of learning has taught you nothing. That Ranji's dog Pippa has better brains than you. Maureen keeps her right palm on her forehead. That's the big deal, Nama. So he'll sweep and come. Nella keeps her legs on the coffee table. Let me watch this movie, Nama. You're ruining a great scene for me. Great scene, my food. Maureen takes the remote and pauses Netflix. Go and bring it inside, she says in a high volume, dragging Nella out of the comfortable couch she's sitting on. Amma, are you mad? Nella also raises her volume. If I was sweeping these parents' garden, you think these parents would have acted crazy like this? I'll stop there.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much, Mandulee. Great having you here. May you return better and go places.
Thank you so much. And it's an honor to be here on the World Book Day. And thanks to everyone who listened to my stories, and thanks for the wonderful questions, and to Sarasavi for inviting me.
Thank you. It's delightful to have you. And she'll be here if you want to get your copy signed, take photographs, anything.